Hey everyone, and welcome. So, you're a healthcare professional gearing up for the OET, and you know that reading module can feel like a huge mountain to climb. But here's the good news. It's a challenge you can absolutely conquer with the right strategy, and we're going to break that down for you right now.
Look, if you're feeling the pressure, you are not alone. It's completely normal. You're trying to balance a super demanding career with studying for this really high stakes exam. That feeling of being overwhelmed, it's pretty common. But today, we're going to turn that feeling into a clear, confident plan of attack. So here's my promise to you in this explainer. We're going to give you a clear blueprint. We're going to demystify this test, break it down into much more manageable pieces, and build a strategy that puts you right back in the driver's seat. And here's how we're going to do it. First, we'll decode the whole test structure. Then we're going to tackle each part, one by one, the crazy speed of Part A, the practical focus of Part B, and the deep thinking needed for Part C. And then we'll wrap it all up with your ultimate prep toolkit, so you know exactly where to start. All right, let's dive into Section 1, Decoding the Reading Test. Before you can win any game, you've got to know the rules, right? So understanding the structure and what each part is really designed to test is absolutely fundamental to your success. The OET Reading Test is actually pretty brilliant in how it's designed to mirror your real-world clinical work. It's split into 3 distinct parts, and each one tests a different but totally crucial skill. You've got Part A, which is all about finding information fast. Then Part B is about carefully understanding those day-to-day workplace communications. And finally, Part C tests your ability to really get into the weeds of complex academic texts. So let's start with Section 2, Part A, the speed challenge. I absolutely love this analogy. Think of Part A just like you're doing triage in the ER. You've got multiple sources of information coming at you, patient notes, charts, and your job is to pull out the most critical details, and you have to do it fast. And when I say fast, I really mean it. You've got just 15 minutes. In that time, you have to answer 20 questions based on 4 short texts. This part isn't just about reading, it's about being an efficient information detective under some serious time pressure. So, how do you do it? Well, success here really comes down to mastering some key micro skills. You are not reading every single word, no way. You're skimming to get the general idea, and then scanning for specific keywords like a patient's name, a dosage, or a symptom. This is exactly what you do on the job when you quickly review a patient's chart before you act. Okay, now for Section 3, Part B, Workplace Essentials. The whole pace changes here. This is less about that frantic triage and way more about careful, deliberate understanding. Think of the texts here like a crucial hospital memo, maybe a manual for a new piece of equipment, or an updated policy for patient care. Now, in Part B, you're going to read 6 short texts, things like emails or guidelines, and each one has a single multiple-choice question. Your whole job is to accurately figure out the main point. What's the purpose here? Is this memo trying to inform me, warn me, or ask for something? Every little detail matters, just like it does in your daily work. All right, let's move on to Section 4, Part C, what I call the deep dive. This is where the test really levels up and gets more academic. The analogy here is just perfect. It's like you're sitting in on a grand rounds lecture, or you're reading a research article straight from a medical journal. The texts are longer, they're denser, and way more complex. And this slide right here highlights the single most important skill for Part C, inference. You see, you're no longer just finding facts on the page. Now, you have to read between the lines. What's the author's real opinion? What's their attitude towards this topic? It's all about understanding what's being suggested, not just what's being explicitly stated. Now, what I find so interesting is how clearly this shows the mental shift you need to make. Part B is all about the what. What does this policy actually say? But Part C, that's all about the why and the how. Why does the author have this opinion, and how do they build their argument? It's a huge leap from direct comprehension to real critical analytical reading. So the big question is, how on earth do you build all these different skills? Well, that brings us to our final section, your ultimate prep toolkit. Listen, there are tons of resources out there, but the real key is using them strategically, not just bouncing around randomly. So here's a simple but really effective plan. To master the speed you need for Part A, there's just no substitute for doing timed drills using the official sample tests.
For parts B and C, you want to dive into strategy videos from great sources like E2 or OET Online. They teach you how to break down the questions. And to really sharpen those analytical skills, use blogs and articles to practice identifying a text structure and the author's purpose, even when you're not doing a formal practice test.
And I really want you to remember this. There are no magic shortcuts or secret tricks. Real confidence and success on the OET come from consistent, focused practice. It's about building the right habits and truly mastering these foundational reading skills just one day at a time.
So your path forward from here should feel a lot clearer. The big takeaway is simple. First, understand the unique demands of each of the three parts. Second, you've got to master the specific micro skills for each one, from scanning to inference. And third, use a strategic practice plan to build up your speed, your accuracy, and most importantly, your confidence.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to get you started. What are you going to do today? Are you going to run a timed Part A drill to work on that speed? Or maybe you'll analyze an article to practice identifying a writer's opinion for Part C. Your journey to success really starts with that one small, focused step.